Welcome back, everyone. I'm absolutely thrilled you're joining me for today's explainer. We're taking a deep dive into a frankly critical topic for homeowners, and it comes straight from the experts over at Dr. Drain. We're going to break down their comprehensive guide to winterizing your plumbing. I genuinely love doing these kinds of deep dives because, just a little bit of structured knowledge right now can save you a massive headache and, honestly, a ton of money down the road. So I've got to ask you directly, is your plumbing ready for the deep freeze? Seriously, take a second and think about it. When those temperatures start to just absolutely plummet, your home's pipes are practically at war with the weather. The stakes here are incredibly personal. A frozen or burst pipe? That isn't just a minor inconvenience, it's a potential disaster for your home. We've got to get ahead of the cold before it actually hits, and that's exactly what we're going to do today. Okay, let's dive into this strategic, step-by-step survival guide for your home's plumbing. We'll start with the winter plumbing threat, move into Phase 1, the drain reset, then Phase 2, protecting exposed pipes, followed by Phase 3, smarter habits. Finally, we'll wrap it all up with spotting early warning signs. All right, kicking things off with Section 1, the winter plumbing threat, understanding the enemy. The change in season is just incredibly dangerous for your pipes, and this brilliantly illustrates why. During the summer, water is just flowing freely through your plumbing, and things like grease or soap scum, they generally stay pretty soft. But winter plumbing, that is a completely different ballgame. When water can't move freely, it lingers, and in freezing temperatures, that trapped water actually expands, which is exactly what causes that catastrophic pipe damage we all dread. On top of that, the cold environment actively worsens any existing buildup you might already have hiding in there. All that grease, the soap scum, the hair, the debris, it literally solidifies into these incredibly stubborn clogs. Moving right along to Section 2, Phase 1, the drain reset, preparing the front line. So Dr. Drain highly recommends starting with the household drains that you rely on the absolute most. It's a super logical three-step process here. Step 1, simply pull out any visible hair or gunk from your strainers. Just get that out of there. Step 2, flush those drains with hot water, assuming, of course, that's safe for your specific plumbing setup. This is going to help melt away that minor everyday buildup. And Step 3, for your routine maintenance, just apply gentle product-based treatments that are actually suited to your household plumbing. But hey, I want to pause for a second and really emphasize this crucial tip. You've got to focus on manual cleaning first, and whatever you do, avoid repeated harsh chemical attempts. This is absolutely vital. Continuously dumping harsh chemicals down a sluggish drain can actually eat away and damage your plumbing infrastructure. So start with the manual cleaning, right? Then move on to the gentle products. You really want to protect those pipes. Which brings us to Section 3, Phase 2, protecting exposed pipes, the shield. Now, not all your pipes are equally exposed to the elements, so you need to know exactly where to apply your insulation shield. Take a look at these vulnerable areas. In unheated spots like garages, basements, or crawl spaces, your action required is to use pipe insulation and make sure you seal up any nasty drafts around the access points. For pipes running along exterior walls, you need to do whatever you can to keep the indoor air temperature stable around that plumbing. And finally, for your outdoor hose bibs and drains, you must disconnect your hoses, drain the remaining water out of the line, and absolutely consider slapping a faucet cover on there. Actually, let's drill down on that last point for a second and look at exterior components. These are those vulnerable plumbing fixtures, like your outdoor hose bibs, that freeze exceptionally quickly. And why is that? Well, because they're facing direct exposure to freezing wind and colder air. Wind just strips heat away so rapidly. Leaving a hose connected basically means water is staying trapped right at that super vulnerable exit point, just waiting to freeze, expand, and burst right back into your house. Seriously, do not skip this step. All right, on to Section 4, Phase 3, smarter habits, tactical defense. Dr. Drain gives us this fantastic, super quick, do not flush or pour checklist. Ready? First, avoid pouring grease and cooking oils down the sink at all costs. Remember how the cold hardens that stuff like concrete? Keep large food scraps totally out of the kitchen drain. Over in the bathroom, make it a solid habit to clean those strainers regularly so you can control the hair and soap buildup. And please, please only flush appropriate materials down your toilets. Your toilet is the plumbing fixture, folks. It is not a magical trash can. And finally, make sure you run water periodically in those rarely used drains. Now, that last point about rarely used drains is actually super interesting. Let's say you have a guest bathroom that literally nobody has used in months. Well, the water in that trap is just sitting there. And stagnant water in unused drains can be way more prone to causing foul odors, and it actually makes stubborn clogs a lot more likely to develop. So honestly, just turning on the faucet in the guest bath for like a minute every couple of weeks keeps the water moving through the trap and prevents a whole lot of nasty surprises. And that brings us to our final section, Section 5, Spotting Early Warning Signs, your radar system. So the crucial point is knowing how to actually read the clues your house is feeding you. These small changes, they can signal a major problem way before it becomes an absolute emergency. You've got to keep an eye and an ear out for slow drainage, weird gurgling sounds coming from the pipes, recurring backups that happen in just one specific fixture, persistent foul odors, or, and this is the worst one, actual wet spots forming around your pipes. Those are crystal clear indicators that a nasty buildup is forming, or worse, a freeze has already happened. And if you do notice those signs, you must address them promptly. Dr. Drain puts it perfectly right here, quote, "Waiting until a deep freeze may make repairs harder and more expensive," end quote. Seriously, let that sink in for a second. Ignoring a slow drain in October could literally mean paying for an emergency pipe replacement in January. But hey, we always need an ultimate fallback plan, right? If you suspect that freezing has already occurred, or if a clog just keeps returning despite your absolute best manual cleaning efforts, or if you're facing repeated toilet overflow risks, look, it's time to stop playing the hero. You need to call a licensed professional plumber. If you see wet spots or evidence of damaged plumbing, do not wait. Professional intervention is absolutely required at that point to save your home's infrastructure. Which really brings us to the end of our guide, and it leaves you with one simple choice. Will you winterize your drains today? Or are you just going to wait for the freeze? By doing a quick drain reset, protecting those exposed pipes, and tweaking a few everyday habits, you can keep your home functional, comfortable, and completely safe from plumbing emergencies this winter. Do not wait until the temperature tanks. Get out there this weekend and get it done. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and definitely stay warm out there.